Okay, so this is my Christmas themed demon.
Okay, are you?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
Welcome to Primetime Mitch. This is a collaboration video. I guess I am on my own now, but we had some technical issues before the start of this collaboration. I welcomed Mary, an Instagram friend of mine, to come and talk to me about demons in movies. This is such a vast subject, starting from 1896 through till now. So we're not covering all of it. We're just having a general chit chat about our favourite moments involving demonology in films. This could have a part 2 and a 3 somewhere down the line. But for now, I kicked off this Primetime Mitch exclusive collaboration video by asking Mary about her first introduction to these kind of themes.
So, my first experience, it was Poltergeist. That's what kind of piqued my interest into, the occult and like demons into movies, and that's what did. And then, of course, in 1996, as it was all girls at that time, it was The Craft that really just just latched on to me, and then just wouldn't let go. Like every girl had a sleepover, and we all did light as a feather, stiff as a board, or we tried to. You lift your friend up, and we all dropped. It was fine. It was fine. It was fine. They were all okay.
You're gonna hate me. I still haven't seen it yet.
Stop it.
No, I know. My partner is onto me to watch this, and it's one of those that I've always been close to watching. It just never happened, and really it should have done, because that was my time when I was getting into horror. So it should have crossed paths with me at some point. It didn't. Yeah.
I can't say. Well, that's okay. That's okay, because it's on your list.
Yes, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's okay. So that one latched on to me, and then I just got into more and more like scarier ones as time went on. And then, of course, I have to say it, The Exorcist. Of course, there was that one.
Well, that was my first ever introduction to demonic possession, was The Exorcist, because my dad went to watch it when it came out.
Yeah.
And he was always telling me about all these stories about people stopping people going in, and priests on the door and things like that. And I was dying to see this, and he was like, well, maybe not yet. Because I was I think I was 7 or something when I asked to watch it first, and he was like, no, probably another year. And it was like 1996 when I first watched that. Yeah, I always remember that being the scariest experience I'd had with a film at that point. I'd only really known the slashers and things like that, and then this came along, and my one memory from The Exorcist was I just wanted them to stop going to the bedroom.
Yes.
All the way through it.
Yes. Say, please, just leave her be. Let's just shut her.
Just let it run its course.
Right. Like, just move houses. Listen, the mom is an actress. Like, she can get another house, okay? And let the bank have it, okay?
Well, I think you interestingly make that point. There is no structure to this show, by the way. This is just like random talk. But you made the point of she's an actress. She can just get another house. They seem to target like the richer people with things like this. Almost, I don't know whether it was to show that this can happen to anybody, and it's not just a folk tale. It still happens to the well-to-do and that kind of thing. They certainly did that with The Omen, and I think, if I'm right in saying, like Rosemary's Baby and things like that, they weren't exactly poor, so.
Yeah, because I love Rosemary's Baby. I love that movie. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that one. But yeah, because that was an actor. Yeah, the husband was an actor. And she was a housewife, but yeah, they were in Manhattan, and that's a huge apartment, even for the 60s. Yeah, and so yeah, they were well-to-do also. Yeah, so yeah, I mean that's a good point. In The Omen, it was a politician, because they needed the son to rise, in the political world, and so yeah, and I understand they need, that the Antichrist, he would need to be or like the Antichrist needs to be somebody well connected and to rise in power. I understand all that, but yeah, but even with the demonic possessions, like, why aren't you targeting people like in like more like lesser known areas?
See, I don't understand that. I think don't go for the hierarchy. Go for the people that nobody knows about, and then just work your way through without anyone really finding out until it's too late. I like that one more, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, why would they not? Yeah, why are the demons not pursuing people that have 22 cents in their bank account?
When we say demons in film, I'm talking demonic possession. I'm also talking. I mean, there are comedies out there. There are horror comedies out, like Night of the Demons. I watched the like at the end of Halloween, and that's one. But do you have like a favorite demon in a movie that really stands out?
That's a good question. I love Night of the Demons because it mixes like the things that they say. It very well mixes like those weird 80s insults. It just weaves them perfectly in, and it is very charming. But the things that they say, you're just like, what? Like the bodacious booby sis,
Yeah.
and it's like, what? And some of the things they do, like the lipstick, the poop thing,
Yeah.
like, okay. And then in the second one where they're at the dance and the girl exposes herself and the guy reaches and her boobs turn into a pair of hands, and it's like, what are we doing? What
But
are
that's
we doing?
it. That's kind of that's another side of it where you can almost, it's so outrageous that it's something you need a little bit of light-hearted when you've seen things like The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby and some of these like more edgy productions. I would say if I was going to go for a favorite demon, and I think it's not thought of that much because of the way the movie is, and I think the ghost genre actually is probably stronger than demonic possession. But I would say the demon in Paranormal Activity deserves some credit.
That's a good one because that one's a scary one.
Yes.
Oh, so the first time I saw Paranormal Activity, I was scared to death the first time I saw that one. I mean, I was genuinely like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah. It makes you feel that because it puts you in the house and there's no big jump scares and soundtrack and everything. It's just those two and a camcorder. And I think I remember I love the first two. I wasn't happy with 3, and then the rest went direct to video, direct to DVD, getting up to date. But definitely the first two had that feeling, and my partner won't watch the second one. I forced her to watch the first, and she won't watch the second at all. Yeah, I'm working on that. But yeah, that is a demon, and that's demonic possession. I don't think it ever really gets talked about in the same breath as some of the, because there's been so many of them. That one is more a ghost story than it is actually. I don't think it falls into the right category. I think it is more demonic than it is ghosts.
I do too. I agree with you because it's definitely it taunts Katie. It taunts the main character more because like ghosts are kind of they're almost kind of like goofy. I mean they do things that they shouldn't do. But they're not always harmful, whereas demons always do harmful things to they've targeted. And that thing definitely taunted Katie throughout Paranormal Activity. Like even throughout the entire franchise, it always comes back to Katie or Katie's family. It's always tied to her. I don't think that's a spoiler.
No. There's always a spoiler alert on the bottom of my videos anyway. But yeah, I think that movie starts as a ghost story and ends a demon story because you think it's just another poltergeist. You're looking at another Enfield haunting kind of thing, and then suddenly it starts harming her. She's getting marks on her and things like that, and you're getting that noise, that awful like roar, and you realise what it is. I think it sort of transitions midway through.
Yes, yeah, and then Mika finds her outside, and she's not sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
I think she saw and he just starts finding her like in weird places, and you can see her slowly like just going mad as the movie progresses because she is being harmed by that demonic entity. So yeah, I agree with you. It starts off kind of like, oh, this is kind of weird, what's going on, and then it gets very, very harmful to her to the point at the end of the movie where you're just like, Oh my gosh! Like, oh my god! It's like where you were in your own house watching it, and you're just like, I can't move from my chair because something might get me. Like, I am not moving from this seat. Like, what did I invite into my own house by watching this? Like, nope, can't do it.
Did you find? I mean, this could be a general question actually, but did you find the ghost part of it more scary, or when you realise it's like a demonic possession, which do you find more scary?
Ooh, the demonic aspect, I think, is more scary because I think that what movies have taught us is that the demons are harder to get rid of once they've latched on to whomever their host is. Because I think like Insidious taught us that it's not the house that's haunted, it's your son. It's because it's like, oh, so you mean I can't just move houses? Which, by the way, side note, how did they just move houses that easily? There's 2 giant houses in Insidious. Like, please be serious. No one will be able to do that. But
nobody ever takes into account the time it takes to move. I've always found that out. I actually remember I watched Sinister a few days ago. I'd sort of not watched it in a long time, and I revisited it. And I always remember at the end when he says, "We've got to get out of this house. We've got to leave." And I'm like, but all your stuff is there and you can't pack up. And then as they're getting down the road, the little boy goes, "What about all our stuff?" And he goes, "Oh, we'll talk to the removal men." I was like, thank you. I needed that.
Yes, it's like, finally it's addressed. Thank you. You're sending to get it. But then it's like, well, what about the little stuff? Well, toothbrushes. Like, well, there's gas stations that have toothbrushes. They'll be all right. I was like, okay, thank you for addressing that.
Yeah, just as long as you bring your wallet with you, you're okay. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I've got to ask, like, I said, like, which do you think is scarier and everything, but what do you think makes it frightening? Because I always wonder, because I always think it's easy to be afraid of ghosts and stuff because it's so unnatural. But there's something a little bit more when it comes to that spiritual side of things.
I agree, because it takes like a drop of faith to believe like in the supernatural. That's what it is. Because if you don't believe in it, you're like, well, I don't believe in this, so that I'm not scared of this because I don't believe in it. But it takes like just a little ounce of faith in believing like, no, I do believe that something like this could exist. So therefore it is capable of harming me because I have faith that there is, this life after death. And then therefore there's heaven, there's hell, there's angels, there's demons. So therefore this can harm me. And it's like, oh my gosh, and I can't do anything about it. Like, and it's like, well, do I call the Catholic? Do I call the minister? Which religion do I call? Do I just call them all? I
think it's because with demonic things, I mean, you can't really explain ghost stories and everything, but we're talking about devil possession and things like that. I think that it's such an unexplained case. Like, some things are entirely fictitious, some things are possible. I don't think this one is either one or the other.
Right.
There are cases that can't be explained that look very much like it could be that, but you just don't know. And I think it's that fear of there's no control over this situation and you don't know what it is. And I think the fear of the unknown is one of the scariest things in the world.
Yes. Yeah. But because I think, in general, it just not knowing something that's so anxiety inducing. Like when you go to your doctor and you're waiting on test results and they haven't called you with your test results and you're like, I just want to know. I just want to know what my test results are. That's so anxiety inducing. And that's like real world stuff. That's much like, I just need to know what the test results are.
And it's still a fear as well. It's a kind of fear. Anxiety is born out of fear and vice versa, I think, from my experience anyway.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. And it is very much and I think that's where horror movies really sink in. And I think that's what really gets us is that fear of the unknown. And like with monster movies, like it's like, oh my gosh, like with The Descent, like for example, just with The Descent.
Yeah.
Oh, that one scares me. But it's like, what if there are these monsters that live in caves? Like, I don't know, because I'm not going to go explore every cave and look for them, but like, they'd be in those caves, and it's like, So it's very much that of the unknown, like exactly what you said, like that fear of the unknown, and it's like, well, I'm not going. Well, that's it. Now that anxiety is with me, that there could be these blind, naked monsters man things in caves, and never. I'm not going in a cave. That does it. I'm not going.
Well, I think with ghosts, there's a fear of the unnatural, but I think with the demonic possession, there is that added fear of being trapped.
Yes.
And not being able to do anything and just having to watch yourself being taken over. That's a different element that I think's really chilling.
I agree. And so going back to The Exorcist, so the movie is horrifying, but the book, I read the book. It's one of the most terrifying and like horrifying books I've ever read. There were a couple of times that I had to like literally throw the book across the room because I was like, that's too far.
Is it worse?
It's worse. It is so much worse. Because the book details parts of the book detail from Reagan's point of view.
Oh, okay.
From her being possessed and her not wanting to do certain things, but she's not in control of her body. And the author goes into detail about this. You can. I'm not going to spoil any part.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But she doesn't want to do these things, but she's being forced to do them. So yeah, that is a losing control. But like you're actively aware, so it's almost like a disease. You know, you're in your body. You're aware of your surroundings, but you have no control over what's happening to your body. So I guess that does tie in very much to having a disease that's doing what it's doing to your body,
which is a real life thing that you can be afraid of. Mm-hmm.
I actually just now connected those pieces together as I was talking, and it's like,
see, that's what this is all about. That's why I do this. I join the dots. So when you think about these kind of films, and there are many examples. We'll go into a few more. We've touched on a few films already, but what are the scariest scenes for you that you've seen in these films? Any that come to mind?
Okay, so The Exorcist. Oh my gosh! Oh, there's so many in The Exorcist.
I have one in that. I've got one. I don't know if it's the same as yours, but go on.
Oh my god! Okay. Scenes from The Exorcist. From the opening credits to the ending credits. the whole thing. So this may not be the same one for you, but for The Exorcist, it's when she's having the mom's having the party, and Reagan comes down and she pees on the carpet, and it's just such unsettling, and it's a very long pee that she has, and it kind of like
it's what she says in that scares me, when she goes, "You're gonna die up there" or something, and it's like, whoa,
you're gonna die up there.
Yeah, she says it to the mom's friend, and then he dies, and it's like, oh my gosh. So that one is just because it's so like eerie and weird because of what she's doing, and now she's just kind of just standing there like in her nightgown, just urinating everywhere. So that one is kind of like it gets under my skin. And then The Exorcism of Emily Rose, in the barn, where she's saying where the demon is saying whom all that they have possessed, and her eyes are just black, and she. Like, I once dwelt within Nero, and it's like, stop, that's enough. You don't need to do a roll call of everyone you've dwelt within. Okay, we get it. Okay, thank you.
That's a great movie. I will go on to that in a little while. Actually, I'm glad you brought it up because I don't think I would have forgot it. It's in my notes. But in terms of the scenes, the Exorcist one that gets me is the first time her head turns. Because I know it's the props that they use and the practicals which make it scary. If they'd have done this with computer enhanced, it wouldn't have been as scary. But it's the unnatural way she's sitting. She almost looks like a doll, and it is a doll, but it's because she looks like that. She's so rigid, and she talks in the old man's voice, and that when I was a kid and I watched that for the first time, that's the scene I didn't want to see again.
You know what she did?
It really bothered me that. I actually have one from Exorcism of Emily Rose which really bothers me, and it's probably, when I think about demonic possession, I always think of this one image of Emily when her boyfriend wakes up in the night and looks and she's on the floor backwards. And just the facial expression on her. Yeah, that bothers me greatly, that scene. I always it gives me like the hair stand up on my arm,
Yes, and because she was able to contort that way herself. They didn't have to digitally alter that in any way or use props. She was just like, oh, I think I can do that. You know, and it's like, Carpenter, are you okay?
They casted well then, didn't they?
Yeah, like, I mean, like, bravo that you got into that position, but like, also, like, do you need a doctor?
I mean, I think there is actually one. I don't know whether you know of it. Did you watch the X-Files?
Episodes here and there, but I was not a
Okay. Well, there might be one if you want to go see it after this, because it'll be on some streaming platform or something. Yeah. But there's an episode called 𝗓𝗓, I believe it was called. It might have had a different name for UK. I can't remember us, but it was co-written by Stephen King.
Oh, okay.
And you can tell it was co-written by Stephen King, and it's about it's cliched now, but it's about a doll. And this girl has this possessed doll that sort of tells her what to do and gets in her head, and everywhere it goes, it sort of protects this girl and attacks everyone around her. And by making them turn on themselves and go, you know, that one is well worth it. There's a specific scene in they go to the store and she takes the doll in with her. I'll just leave it at that. But if you get a chance to watch that episode, do it, because that's one that sticks in my head as well.
Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, anything written by Stephen King. I know that some of his stuff are misses, but most of all, they are hits. I like the writing style. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't get enough of King.
You're a big reader then.
Yes, I do. I love to read. So I like audiobooks too, because I just like somebody to read to me like a little kid. But I enjoy when I can up myself and be a grown up and just flip through the pages and you know, do the hard work. They're really fun.
Well, I was hoping I didn't sort of give myself enough time, but I actually brought this book out when I was on call on an interview not long back. But I'm hoping there's going to be a demonic story in here. Because
Clive Barker.
Yeah, I feel like there should be, and with that front cover, there really should be a devil story in there of some kind.
There should be. Yeah. If there's not, then they through that illustration owes you a refund.
Yeah, you're false advertising.
Right.
Putting some demon on the front and then just giving me stories about like creatures and things. But here's a question for you. But what do you think are some underrated demonic possession movies that don't get talked about enough?
Well, actually, the TV show, The Exorcist, I don't think so. The TV show was canceled, and it makes me so upset. The TV show, The Exorcist, was canceled because it was so good. But I don't think that it gets the recognition that it deserves.
I watched one the other night, actually, which I wasn't. Basically, it was. I think it was. I can't remember what. I think it might be Spanish or something like that. I can't exactly remember what language it's in, but it is translated into subtitles. Now, I know that doesn't always translate very well, so that might not have helped. But I wasn't a fan of the dialogue, and I wasn't a fan of the sort of directing and some of the continuity errors in it. So it got... Well, no, it got like a 2.5 out of 5 star for me, but I gave it the 2.5 because the visuals in it are quite terrifying. And it's actually the third in the doll movie installment. It's Sabrina.
Oh, Sabrina,
from
okay.
2018. Now, it's not a great movie. This isn't an underrated one in terms of a movie, but it's underrated in terms of its imagery, because some of the imagery in that film is absolutely terrifying. I will leave you to it. It's on Netflix, actually. So it is over here. I don't know about over there. You got a ton more stuff than we have. But yeah, if you can find Sabrina from 2018, just check out the effects in that, because they look really good. But the one that comes to my mind is Fallen.
Time is on my side.
Oh, I love Fallen because at the beginning where it's the where he's the inmate and they're singing that time is on my. They're singing that. Yeah, and he's just like shuffling himself to the electric chair, and he's like so giddy, and you're like, okay, and that's odd that you're excited to go to the electric chair, or whichever method that he's on. And he's just singing, and then like split seconds, not to. Well, and you said there's going to be spoiler alerts on there, but yeah, then you're like, it switches, and then you're like, oh, and then you just see it like, oh, that's a good one. Oh, Fallen's a really good one.
It is a good movie, and I think people forget that it has that subject matter because it's Denzel Washington, and he's not often in movies, like certainly not in horrors and things like that, and to me that is a horror. So yeah, I think that's really underrated. I also, the one I really wanted to talk about, which you mentioned earlier, is one of my favourites ever. I'm going to be doing a found footage ranking soon, probably at the start of the year, but it's gonna be in there, and that's The Last Exorcism. That's the one, yeah. And yes. I think that does not. I think it's actually getting more recognition now. I've started seeing people putting it on their Instagram posts and things like, "Oh, watching this now," and "Oh, here's my top 5 of this kind of movie." So it is getting a bit more recognition, but certainly when it was released, it didn't really get anything. And I think it's brilliant.
I have loved that movie since it came out. I could see the cover in my head with her head.
In the corner.
Yeah, and I was like, he was one of the lawyers in Better Call Saul. I was like, he used to be like that. Oh man, I had everything but the title. Yeah. I love that one because at the beginning where he's first talking to the film crew, like I can tell them he said I can sneak in a banana bread recipe.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then he looks at the camera when he's done it as well. I love Patrick Fabian in that film. I think he is fantastic.
2 ripe bananas, you put them in a bowl, and you put some sugar, and you go ahead and bake it for 400. You can go and pull it out and have yourself banana bread. Hallelujah!
I would love to interview him at some point when I get some kind of status. I will try and track him down. But I think he makes that movie as well. The only thing that really upset me, again, spoiler alert, but you're far too long into this video now for me to say that again. The ending saddens me a bit because I know he isn't coming back, and he was my favourite character throughout it.
Yeah, I think the ending made sense though for his character arc. Yeah. I think it made perfect sense, although it made me sad too. It's like, no. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I remember going, damn, I loved that, but I just wished he could have stayed on because I really enjoyed his performance. I also think 𝗂𝗶𝗏 the demon in that is probably one of my favourites. Probably I could have mentioned this earlier on, but I think that is that's up there with Pazuzu to me, I think.
Yeah, Pazuzu is like GOAT. I didn't. One is my favorite demon because I'm like, that's cheating. Like everyone knows Pazuzu. Baskin. It's a Turkish horror movie. Okay. The only Turkish horror movie I've ever seen, so I need to watch more horror movies out of Turkey. But it's about the characters they accidentally drive into hell. So it's a bit more on the nose with the demonic possessions. Yeah. Very much like you're actually in hell versus the demon coming to you. It's like, oh, you went to them. Yeah,
that's different. Yeah.
But
that's very supernatural, that, as in the series, to which does some very good demonic possession stuff, actually, I must say.
True, yeah. I will say I didn't finish Supernatural, but from what I saw of it...
Neither did I. It got very complicated, but I did get the gist of the majority of the devil stuff they were doing. I thought it was very, very good for a series, anyway. Yeah, do continue, anyway. So Baskin was terrifying to me because it was so weird. So that's the imagery in it. We were just like, oh, okay. And it did remind me kind of like dreams that I've had where, like, because dreams don't make sense. Well, okay, my dreams don't make sense, and when you have a nightmare, you're kind of like, how do I wake up and get out of here? Like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? It was very similar to the nightmares that I have, to where I'm like, I don't want to watch this, but then there's, the sunken cost fallacy got me, and I'm like, well, I've already, 30 minutes in, I might as well finish it. Yeah. It's to the end. So, but that one's a scary one. The demon didn't somehow wander out of hell and decide to, to find a rich person to possess. They more or less found themselves there, and then they were like, oh no, Well, I mentioned Supernatural before. I find it interesting seeing how hell is depicted. So I think I'd probably be into that. So actually, that's reminded me of a scene. There is a scene in Supernatural which used to creep me out with a little girl that's possessed by Lilith, I think it is. And she is it's just a normal little girl, and it's got into this little girl, and she is sat with her family celebrating a birthday party. Her birthday, it's not her birthday, she just wants a party, and they have to keep baking her a cake and singing for her and stuff. And meanwhile the grandfather sort of goes out to get the mail, and he sees the mailman, and he says hi and everything, and he shakes his hand, and then he leaves him a note saying help us. It's really, really weird and creepy and nasty. And yeah, so that's a scene. I'm glad you reminded me of that inadvertently.
Ooh. That reminded me of the TV show Evil. They dealt a lot with so that like the entire show was about demonic possessions, but they had the character that was a scientist, and then they had the character that was the psychologist, and then they had the character that was the priest. So they explored the different elements, and they always kind of presented it to you as it could be any of these things. The person could be mentally ill, there could be a scientific explanation, or it could be demonic possession, and it kind of sometimes they leaned a bit more one way than the other, but I really liked how they kind of balanced it to where they said, I don't know, what do you think? Here's the episode, and kind of ambiguous. But sometimes they did kind of push one narrative more than the other. But that show had some really creepy, like they played the elevator game, and
right.
And that one, and I don't remember the rules, but there's like rules to, if you're in an elevator, you can like push the buttons in a certain sequence, and when the doors open up, that you can open up the doors to hell. But if you step off the elevator, like it's like why would anyone do that? Why? No, like being in a hotel sometimes is bad enough. Why would I want to literally go to hell? Like, no, thank you. But yeah, there was there's like certain scenes like where if you do this, the sequence is wrong. Like if you push the numbers wrong, then like there's a girl kind of similar to Samara from The Ring who can come out and like start attacking you, and it's like, why would anyone play this silly game? But people do apparently, and terrifying.
That reminds me of That's another one, actually. I've not mentioned it. I've just remembered now. The film Devil in the elevator with the...
Yeah.
Do you remember that one? It's been many years since I've seen that, but I remember that being pretty cool.
It was, and it's a very cool concept because, yeah, you're stuck. Nobody wants to ever get stuck on an elevator because I don't know if anybody... Because I do have anxiety, so there's that, and
same.
There's that, and I'm very like animated. I'm very just like all this nervous energy. But I always think there's limited air on this elevator, so everyone hold your breaths. You know?
Yeah, it's like enclosed space as well. I mean, there was quite a good idea really because there is nowhere for you to go, and I quite like that. Mm-hmm. What do you think? This leads me into another question after this. But what do you think doesn't work? So, what takes you out of the fear and the horror elements? Because to me, it's things like too much CGI. Obviously, I could say that about a lot of horror, but it definitely does it for demonic possession because I feel like I'm watching an effect and not actually somebody deteriorating. And I think the biggest one for me is not enough normality before the possession.
Yes.
Because you really felt sorry for Reagan, you know, and how this lovely little girl had just turned into this because they gave you a bit of her beforehand. I think sometimes it's too quick to get into the possession.
Yes, and I think that's what The Exorcist, the newest Exorcist movie, that's what they got wrong.
Yeah, you've got to have that comparison between the good life before and now what's happening to it and the evil overtaking it. I think when I get all of that immediately, or particularly when a movie like this starts with the possession of someone else, and then it goes to a family after, it's like, well, I've already seen a whole bunch of stuff now that's put me in that evil mindset. I don't want that yet. And I think that's why The Exorcist did so well, is because you had this, yes, the mum was an actress and she was very sort of well known and stuff, but there was nothing wrong with this little girl. She was just so innocent, and there was no conflict in the family either, really. And suddenly, bang, all this evil overtakes it. And I prefer the gradual sympathy, creation.
Yeah, and I think the last exorcism did that really well too, because the pastor, he doesn't believe in what he's doing. He's just doing it because it's like the family business. It's what he's known for doing, is performing exorcisms, and he's very charismatic, and and so people will listen to him for that reason. And he's just like, look, now you're exorcised. Like, hey, exorcise the demons, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. But I think that it did that really well because he doesn't believe in what he's doing. But then it's like, oh, she actually is possessed, and you have to take your job seriously now. Let's see you do it.
Yeah, and again, she's just a normal girl. I mean, her family's a little, her dad and her brother in particular are a little questionable.
We're looking for the Sweetser farm.
You want to make a U-turn, and then I want you to go back where you came from.
But there's nothing wrong with her, and it's that sort of taking over the most innocent person in the household. And I think you need that build-up before to really care about that.
I agree, and I think, and I'm saying this like from my perspective as a mom. I feel like if a child is going to be possessed, that maternal instinct is kicking in for me, and I'm going to be like, I need to protect that baby. Yeah. I'm still going to be like, no, I need to protect that baby. But if they kind of just introduce almost as a side character, I'm like, what's this kid's name again? Oh, okay. What? Are you sure? Okay. I don't think that's the kid's name. And that's what takes me out of it. And I'm like, oh, now the kid's possessed. Oh, okay.
Well, actually, yeah, you make a good point there, because I watched a movie recently called Pray for the Devil. And I felt like more of the emphasis was on the lady trying to save this girl rather than on the girl. It's like, I want to feel sympathy for this girl, and I want to feel the horror that she's going through. I'm not really too bothered at this stage about who's going to help her. I think that's where that one went wrong slightly.
Yes, I agree. So that movie is, I hate to say it, but that one's almost forgettable for me. Yeah. I watched it in its entirety, and I was like, okay. I watched it actually with my daughter. She's a teenager. We watched it together. We're both,
well, I'm in the same boat. My son's 18 now, so I'm,
yeah. So my daughter's 18. So yeah, and we both were just like, at the end of it. And I actually, like, a couple of months later, I put it on again, and I was like, Pray for the Devil. I've been wanting to see Pray for the Devil. And I put it on again, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, this feels familiar. I must have seen the trailer, and I'm watching it. I was like 10 minutes into it. I'm like, oh, I've seen this before. And so...
See, that's never a good sign, is it? It's almost like you've abandoned it once. But I mean, actually, that you've led me perfectly into this question, which is actually sort of my penultimate question: is there too much of it now, or is it just not powerful enough because we've almost seen the worst in terms of the scariest stuff already?
That's a good question. So. That's a really good question. I think that there's somebody out there capable of making the scariest possession movie that there is. And I think a lot of them, The Exorcist is always going to be up here because it came out first. Okay.
It's a groundbreaker.
Right. Yeah. So it's one that you need to beat. But I think, there's been a lot that have come close to it. But I think that there is somebody out there who has the mindset and has the creativity and has the writing skills, and that there's actresses out there that have also the skills. They can surpass that. Like, I do believe that there's just a creative force out there, that they all exist, that maybe they haven't even met yet. I don't know. Maybe they have met. I don't know. Maybe it's in the works right now. I don't know.
Somebody introduce them, please.
They need to get together right now. But I think that it is very easy to make no, I don't want to say that. That's not fair. But I think the market is saturated with possession movies. You see a lot of them, like haunting movies, or like The Devil, I don't know, The Devil 666 Part 85,
Yeah, there is a lot. I think there is too much of the same thing. I mean, I even Longlegs ended up being that, which I didn't agree with. I think they should have stuck to him being just a crazy psychopath, and that would have been far scarier. But that's for another day. But even that, as we've had Late Night with the Devil, which I really enjoyed. But we've had Late Night with the Devil. We've had The First Omen, and we are getting a lot of these movies, and I think it's like it's becoming a spectacle rather than particularly chilling now.
And Late Night with the Devil, I loved it until the ending. I was with them until the ending. And then I was like, what happened? What happened? Why? What? No. They had me. I was with them till the very end. And then I'm like,
it's one of them where I feel like maybe a rewatch, and then if you don't like it, then you never will. It's one of those, I think.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, I may, yeah, and sometimes I watch movies and I'm not in the best mood, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to rate this movie because I am not in a good mood. And so then I watched it again when I'm in a better. And then it's like, this is a lovely movie. I'm so glad I didn't talk about this one.
Do you prefer actual demonic possession, or do you prefer the actual subject of the Antichrist? Like, we've got First Omen, the Omen, obviously, and Rosemary's Baby with the two that dealt with that.
Yeah.
Do you prefer that, or do you prefer the actual possession of the person with the demon?
Yeah. So I guess it depends. So, because I'm like when you're dealing with the Antichrist, you know, and like American Horror Story had a whole season to that, and American Horror Story is.
I've just watched that one actually.
Did you go?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Okay, I'm pondering. So, I think if you're going to go as far as saying this is the Antichrist, like that's a pretty bold statement.
Yes, it is.
You know? Like, you better be prepared. Like, excuse me, why is this the Antichrist? Like, you better be prepared to back that up with credentials. Like, you can't just proclaim that. Versus if you're saying like, well, they're possessed by a demon. It's like, oh, well, that's much easier to say. It's like, oh, that's just one of the demons.
Hey, don't forget, Pazuzu claimed to be the devil. So,
And I ain't the devil.
I guess that really depends on the movie and how well the movie is written and how well, because sometimes I have seen movies where it's like, are you serious? Like, you can't proclaim to be this incredible demonic figure. Like, you can't say that you're Hades and then you're not even doing anything. Yeah. Like, you know, like the TV show Lucifer, it's like, he's the devil, but what's he doing? He's walking around LA, like,
yeah.
He's not doing anything.
I think like with the Antichrist, like with Rosemary, I mean, you could say, and I don't know whether you buy into this, but you could say the Omen is actually a direct follow up to Rosemary's Baby because the devil's been born, and then I don't know. I think that's like that's damn near a conspiracy, but I think that. With the possession movies like The Exorcist, like The Last Exorcism, like Exorcism of Emily Rose, they're all things that can be dealt with individually, whereas the Antichrist is more large scale. That's like, this is all mankind are in trouble because of this kind of thing. It's like opening the gates. Oh
yeah, and kind of like the movie, like Legion, the movie Legion.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like the waitress that was pregnant in the diner. And the Archangel Michael had to come down, and he's like, well, I have to kill this baby. And then the other angel, I forgot his name. But they're trying to kill the baby and also protect the baby, and it's like. Well, you guys, like, it's like all of humanity depends on us killing this baby, and so you can't kill this baby. It's a baby. You can't kill the baby. It's like the whole movie is like, for again, the maternal instinct is like, no, wait a minute, no, we're not going to kill the baby. That's crazy talk. You know?
Well, I mean, that's another thing as well. That I didn't. The first time I watched The Omen, I didn't like it because I was a dad to it when I first watched it properly. Yep. My son was like 4 at the time, and I was like, I don't want to see this. This is not because I thought he'd turn out to be like that. I just didn't like the idea of having to kill this child, or something because it's the devil. But I mean, I suppose if I was to pick, I do like the fact that for both kinds of movies, all this real life stuff has happened on the set and things like that. I find those stories fascinating.
I do like that. Yeah, I like those behind the scenes documentaries and things. And like the Omen had freaky things happen, and so did Rosemary's Baby, and it is kind of like
The Omens is unbelievable. The stuff that happened on that one, that was like all the way through filming, and it's like widespread. It was like people's planes crashing and things like that, and and like deaths everywhere, like for the crew, and I think The Exorcist was similar in that sense. But the Omens one is amazing. There's like there's a book I've got in there that lists every single thing that happened, and yeah, I like those kind of stories that attach to the movies. I like when there's something a little bit extra than just what you see within the film.
Yes. Wasn't it the Omen? Wasn't it somebody was like transporting like the reel of film on a plane, and then that's the plane that crashed? Or it was something like they were like very loosely connected to the film. Like they were just like moving the film from like point A to point B, and then it crashed somehow.
That was supposed to be carrying Gregory Peck, and he didn't take it, and it crashed. Yeah, that's some Final Destination shit right there. I think it's yeah.
Oh, I'd have been like, you know what? I don't want to do this movie anymore. I'm done. Like, just use whatever footage you have of me, and I'm done. I'm done. I quit. Like,
I wouldn't. I'd be like, you take every bit of footage you've taken of me and you burn it. That's what I'd be saying.
You burn it in front of a church, okay?
If you could create a comedy demon,
okay.
Now there is a twist to this. If you could create a comedy demon, what would its name be, and what would its purpose be? Now, if you tell me yours, I've got to draw what I think it would look like.
Okay.
And vice versa.
Okay. What its name? Okay, comedy demon. What its name would be? Okay, I've already thought of what its purpose would be. It'd be a very petty demon.
Right. Okay.
I gotta think of a name. Okay, because all demons have like very cool names. Okay, Black Opium. That's the demon's name. It's Opium.
Opium's a good name, even though I bet I know what that demon's pastime is. Okay, so what's its purpose?
Okay, so this demon, because it's very petty, this demon only goes to possess people who match their socks, and it steals only one of the pair of the socks, so that way the person never has a matching pair of socks ever again. Boom.
I mean, that is petty. What I've got to ask this question: what does it want to achieve from that, or is it just to piss everybody off?
So I never match my socks, and that pisses people off, right?
Okay.
That makes people mad because I'm a grown woman and I don't match my socks, because I always say I don't have time to do that, and really, I do have time to do that. I just don't want to do it, and that makes people so weirdly angry that I don't match my socks. So this is my like ha to people that get so mad at me for not matching my socks. It's like, well, I created a demon that's going to steal one of all of yours, so now you don't match socks either. So you go to the Walmart and get all the socks.
I mean, I'm okay with that. It's the most irritating demon I've ever heard of, but we'll go with that. So I'm going to try and draw that now. Mine, it's coming up to Christmas, so my demon is going to be called Clarence.
Oh, okay, with a K.
Clarence with a K and a Z, and he is the demonic opposite of Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life. And instead of trying to get his wings, he's trying to get his horns. And he does it by doing things to like destroy people and upset people on Earth. And every time he does it, he collects so many miserable people, and then he gets his horns and he becomes a true demon.
I love it. Okay.
Okay, big reveal. Do you want to go first?
So silly. Okay, I know yours is going to be better. Okay, but
I don't know. It's nothing like the drawings, the other drawings in this book. Believe me, this is like, I really don't give a shit with this one. Okay, so this is my Christmas themed demon.
Okay, are you?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay. So there's a tree. Okay. So here's okay. Hold on. I wrote all this information back. So here's Clarence. Here he is. See how mad he is?
Yeah, he's really mad. He's a stickman.
Died. And so here's all the souls he's collected. And there's a few more going into the bag. And here's the horns right here, just out of his reach.
Has he collected the souls in like a giant bauble? Or...
That's supposed to be like a sack, like this.
Oh, right. Okay, because either way, either one works.
And then those are the little people, the miserable people he's collected. See how unhappy they
Yeah,
are?
they're really miserable. Apart from the long-haired person looks sort of...
That's the one whose face I messed up. And I
Yeah,
was like,
it's really bewildered, but it's good still. I'd be really afraid if I saw this angry stick man. I would be considering whether or not this person was sort of legit.
yeah. But see, his horns are
Oh,
just
his horns are
popping.
great. Yeah, and they would fit on his head as well.
But yeah, he's just like, I can't get, go get my horns. You got to get more miserable people, and then those horns will just go. Down there.
Do you know the way he looks? He should be in the sack with them.
He should.
Okay, so this is opium.
Oh, I love it. Ah, it's perfect.
So as you can see, he's got socks on his feet, but his feet are like upturned, so it's really weird. He sort of like walks on it's almost like they're broken, which I don't like, but I thought it's a demon. I'll do something I don't like. Cross those boundaries. And he's got big claws, and he has like tons of socks around his head.
As you do.
Yeah, and they circle his head. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Perfect.
I'll send it you.
Right, yeah. I can send it to you.
It's there now, so I'll take a photograph and you can have it. You can put it on your Instagram or something and get some likes for it. I'll have yours as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it.
Mary, thank you very much for coming on Primetime Mitch today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here. This was fun. This was so much fun. Keep all safe.
Yeah, keep that safe. That's a masterpiece. Thank you so much for coming on Primetime Mitch talking about demons in movies. I'm sure there's so many more we've missed. Guys, if we have, and we have, please put them in the comments below. Tell us what your favourite demonic possession movies are. Maybe there's a few that aren't so much possession and more the Antichrist like we discussed. Get them in the comments below. Tell us your list of favourites and what you like and what you don't like. I'm always interested in your opinion. I'm sure Mary is going to be very interested in what you have to say as well. Yes. Excellent. Right. Thanks, guys. And as ever, like I said, it's coming up to the festive season, so be very generous and drop a subscribe and hit that notification bell. Give me all the likes you can and the shares. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for supporting Primetime Mitch and watching my content. Thank you to Mary for turning up today to do this with me. And I will see you for my Christmas videos coming up. Catch you later, guys.